You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 14, Episode 11, titled An Extra Special Episode. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by one indecisive co-host from Afterthought Media, Amazon, and Lil Nas X videos. Taylor is not here today. He sent a special message, though, to this person. Here it is for Jay Ellis from Taylor the Latte Boy.
While these bitches have to sweat it out on stage, lip syncing for their motherfucking life, I get to watch the entire thing and luxuriate in the workroom, honey.
Hello, Jay Ellis. How are you?
No offense, Joe, but that wasn't the best clip zero.
I'm going to be honest with you. I had a good, I watched the episode once. And I was watching them all. That's going to be a great clip zero, right? Yeah. And then at 9:45, I was like, oh, I never pulled it. And I was trying to scrub. I didn't write down where it was. And it was like 9:58. And I was like, this is it. This is the clip zero. I can't think of it. I can't find the original one that I had in mind. But,
it's what a metaphor for this week's Drag Race recap, where Taylor just gets to sit back and listen while somebody else does the work.
Yeah, but Taylor has this OCD where he has to listen to shows in order. And so he's months behind. He's not going to hear this till like June or July, maybe.
Well, enjoy your summer, Taylor.
Yeah. But, and we're going to talk about your no offense thing. You're obviously referencing Jasmine Kennedy's weird little diatribe against using, which is, by the way, an old, what's the name of that comic? I can't remember the name. Old 80s comic did a whole bit about that, where it was like, anytime someone says no offense, he's like a New York guy. I can't remember his name.
George Carlin?
No, it's like something. I thought his last name starts with an I. Anyway, he's like
Ike Gallagher.
Chris Yock. Whenever Edie Murphy. Whenever someone says no offense, they're gonna say the most offensive thing possible, like, no offense, your sister's a whore. So that's an old, 80s stand-up comic joke. And I was like, look at Jasmine taking that, as a very serious thing right there.
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's get, we have a lot to cover.
We have a lot of lip sync.
It's gonna be we'll be back right after this break, and we come back from the break, and I'm like, yeah! Well, that's gonna do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap.
We hope you enjoyed your commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this episode was interesting, and I actually want to start with you. Can you tell me two things that you liked and one thing you did not? I haven't read
the 2-sentence summary.
Damn it. Go ahead, then.
This week, all the queens but Deja face off in a lip-sync Lollapalooza for their lives. After a total of 6 lip-syncs, Jasmine Kennedy fails to win 3 times and is asked to sashay away. Now, Jay, you wanted to say something.
Yeah. Rewind it. Why don't you tell me 2 things that you liked and 1 thing you didn't about? Or do you want to do 2 things you didn't like and 1 thing you liked?
I don't have strong hatred for this episode, but I don't have strong feelings either way for this episode, which actually I think is a bad thing for this episode. Because I think it was trying to be gaggy, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's the negative version of, she bring it to you every time. She bring it to you every ball. Yeah, well, we've seen this, right?
I agree with you. I do have some things, though, that were, kind of the standouts. Were you just saying an overall thought, or did you have something that you really... overall you liked about the episode?
The original intention of this 2 things you liked about the episode and 1 thing you did not, that's why I'm not super strict about it, was I felt in the early days we were too negative, so I wanted to start off on somewhat of a positive foot. I would say, the show went by relatively quickly for me, at least. So that felt good, and it was entertaining. What I didn't like, I wish we would have seen more queens go home. It felt like the stakes were very low.
I agree. I feel like after all of that work, it felt like we didn't have the payout that we deserved.
Yeah.
For me, I have two things I liked and one thing that I didn't.
Go ahead.
Thank you for asking. For me, Jasmine's attitude the entire episode was so refreshing to just not have her. I have been okay watching Jasmine this whole season, but this episode I really felt like she was just like, okay, I'm here for the challenge. And I think it was written in stone that she was going home this episode anyway. The rigor mortis of this whole production of we're going to have lip sync for your lives for everybody after Snatch Game, it just felt so produced. Mm-hmm. And I think that she just rolled with the punches so well. And I loved her exit. I loved her throughout the entire episode. I thought that she just gave a good performance, not a winning performance on lip syncs, but I think that she was entertaining the entire time through. Mm-hmm. I also really liked Lady Camden and the In Vogue lip sync. I thought she did great. That was like a standout from all of the lip syncs this episode.
Even though she didn't win. Yeah.
She did. That was her against Bosco.
Oh, that wasn't the three of them?
That one was Beyonce's song. Oh, okay. Radio.
I don't know who did that song.
Yeah, they also had a really great shot of Bosco and Lady Camden. I've never seen them do this on Drag Race. Where
I know
it
what
was,
you're talking about.
It was like layered with Bosco on the runway and Lady Camden closer on the stage, and they just got like a great shot. It was amazing to see that. I haven't seen that on Drag Race. And then my low of this week, and this is coming from, I want Bosco to win. Like, Bosco's my pick to win this entire show. Mm-hmm. I do not want to see her in this bra, panty, and like corset number again in black. Uh-huh. If she could change the color up or do something different, I would love it. Mm-hmm. I love that she didn't spend like a fortune, or maybe she did. I don't know, like if this is individual different pieces, but I'm so like, I want her to give me a different look.
Yeah, I know. I've seen a lot of stuff about that online. I so don't care about looks. I was like, oh, she has? Like, I didn't even notice. I don't even notice what these people wear.
But I mean, this is like episode 3 or 4 that we've seen. Granted, last episode or the episode before, she was in like that Jubilee from X-Men, like the overcoat, Georgie from It. Like, she had like something that kind of made it different. But this time I was like, man, and then the priest outfit.
I've never heard anyone use Georgie from It as a fashion reference, which, by the way, Georgie's the little boy who in the beginning dies, correct? In the raincoat?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
We all, what is it? We all do something float down here. Yeah. So they all float down there. But remember last week we had Bosco in the nun outfit that changed into the corset with the same outfit kind of idea. So, I mean, we've just kind of seen it. And I agree. I'm not like here for the fashion. I know that that's a whole nother show on this network that dissects every look. But it's something that I'm noticing, which means that it's something that needs to be addressed.
It's funny that you bring It to the Runway, a show that we have on this network. Because the reason I say it's funny you bring that up is that I liken what you said about Jasmine to Christian. Christian is very controversial, to say the least, right? He's polarizing. People either love Christian or they hate Christian. And I feel Jasmine Kennedy is the same way. And I think she and Christian have a very similar attribute.
Okay.
Which is Christian and Jasmine are both these people who, my mom's the same way too, where whenever they walk into a room, they interpret silence as applause. And so, and they see, I guess, they read compliments and flattery and that they're always right. And no matter what the situation is, which I think is good in a situation like this, because she gets eliminated and she's like, well, I thought I won. Great. Yay. Bye. This is good. This is a good positive thing. Because I think Christian and my mom would be the same way. They would be like, they would truly believe that they were eliminated because they were the best, or something like that. And or that they did the best, so they have nothing to be ashamed of, which I guess that sort of ego protection is very good, I guess, in moments like this, but I don't know if it's necessary. It leads to them being kind of annoying too, both Christian, my mom, and Jasmine.
Well, don't forget that Jasmine a few episodes ago was like, man, they thought we were just so good that they couldn't get rid of us.
I know. She buys into like the propaganda that the show puts out there. I know. It was also in the beginning, at the top of this episode. She's like, guys, the gaggery of RuPaul saying we are the best. Oh no, that was from the previously on. You're right. That we're the best, this or whatever. I'm like, come on, Jasmine. They can't truly believe this,
Well, and since this is only my second time this season on this season, I am really enjoying this cast. I really like these contestants. I do. I like them. I like what they're bringing. I'm enjoying Daya's unfiltered presence here, and I think that we have a strong race this season. I'm really liking them.
Oh, really? I think the cast is full of very nice people who all get along, but I think they're rather boring, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
You know, one thing we didn't do, Jay, at the top of the show, because you were just so anxious to get to the show, was talk not only about the wonderful community over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia, where if you join at the premium level, you get this show and you get anything that's on the Drag Race recap feed 2 days early and no commercials and stuff. But let me tell you this, Jane, we're launching this now. Let's say you're one of those people and you're listening right now and you're like, I don't care a shit about the commercials. I just skip them. You know, and I don't care if I get it 2 days later. I don't give a shit, right? But I do want to hear just between us girls. Big news. Now, if you subscribe to the premium level over on your Apple Podcast, if you're on Apple Podcast and you just hit subscribe on that button, you're going to get Just Between Us Girls and launching this week, season 4 with me and Taylor. You're going to get those 2 shows a week. You just hit subscribe at the top of that button. You're going to get not only, and Jay, not even the current, you'll get the current Just Between Us Girls, but every Just Between Us Girls from this season is already there. You can hear all of the season 14 Just Between Us Girls. They're all there for you to download, all there for you to listen to right now. Go over to Apple Podcasts Premium, subscribe. You're going to get Just Between Us Girls. You're going to get season 4. It's a whole other thing. Do it today. All right.
And if you're not listening to Just Between Us Girls, you're only getting half the story.
If you're not needing to listen Just Between Us Girls, you're only getting about 82% of the story.
Yeah. Well, and you really aren't selling it as much as I think you should. Like your Patreon, you put out so many shows. You have such a great network of afterthoughts that are constantly on Discord.
Yeah.
There's a support system for each other. I mean, they're live reacting to the episode that we're talking about right now, giving their opinions, which is helping me form my own sentences. Just Between Us Girls is great. And then like on this episode, we played MASH. How many of you guys missed the game MASH from your junior high? Yeah,
right. We did play MASH this year. And also, by the way, and this is going to sound really sad and depressing what I'm going to say right now. And it's not meant to be. It's actually meant to be a positive thing. But if you're lonely for whatever reason, and this is not being funny because Jay, actually, we don't get this as much anymore because I think there's a lot of content out there. A lot of people that place things for people to choose from. But in the early days when we were one of the only games in town, we would get emails from people who said, you know, I live in a really anti-gay area. I can't really talk about the show with anybody, and this show scratches that itch. I need a community. I need something. I'm not being funny. This community, I'll be honest with you, and this isn't a complaint about there. They don't even fucking need me. Right? They have now built a community with each other where they talk about their lives, their jobs, they celebrate their birthdays together. And I'm not being funny. If you do live in an area where maybe it's not so hostile and you wish you had a gay community or gay-friendly community, I'm telling you, take advantage of the Discord. We're going to have for sure. We're going to have a Mario Party tournament soon, Jay. And hopefully you show up do you play this Mario Party?
I do.
Yeah.
I could play. That'd be fun.
We play video games and stuff. It's a whole like actual community. Thank you.
Live reactions to the episode too, right? You were saying that.
Yeah. And I'm not allowed to go there, right? But they have, when the episode drops, they do a live watch there. And they talk to each other about the episode. It's a whole thing, guys. It's not just this show early, what I talk about. All I care about is my voice in as many cars as possible. But there's a whole thing going on over there. So, after patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. All right. Enough of that. After the Snatch Game, Deja feels confident about her Snatch Game win and basks in her safety. Meanwhile, Diabetti expresses her frustration that Perennial Bottoms is what also the name of the show Jay and I have. Georges and Jasmine Kennedy were spread and gifted an elimination competition based on their greatest. Oh, spared, not spread. I was thinking about the bottoms. They were spared and gifted an elimination competition based on their greatest strength. Let's talk about the Act 1, where it's everything after the whole Snatch Game drama. What were your thoughts there, Jay?
Deja was a star in this moment, like just sitting back and really stirring the pot of like, well, how do you all feel? I feel safe. I love it. Like, I mean, I kind of loved her energy this whole episode. But coming back, I mean, what a shock to the system to know that you have historically one of the, and we've talked about this personally or privately, not even a fun train wreck of a snatch.
If you join Patreon at the highest level possible, you get to hear Jay and I have our private conversations. Jay doesn't even know that. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So this may be redundant, but they were having full, like not even a fun snatch game of a disaster. Like I love Kenya Michaels making Beyonce narcoleptic and on pills or whatever. Like it's just so out of this world, the shenanigans and tomfoolery. But this one was just like cringeworthy and nobody did a great job. So for them to come back into the room and just know that this lip sync battle is going to be coming up but they don't know the format yet, which is kind of exciting. Yeah, for them walking in, they don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know. I thought it was a refreshing cold open from what we normally see of the, oh, well, I'm so sad. I have to wipe this mirror and pretend like I'm sad that I'm still here.
Yeah.
I have to tear off this drag and scream, and then it's going to go to ha 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 ha, like all that stuff.
And now that they're all in trouble and they're all in their own heads, no one's like, all right, let's give it up for Deja for the big win. Like Deja got no props, even though she's not like, who was that girl from All Stars last year? The one who her warehouse burned down, but it didn't really, and Trinity K. Bonet, who've had a fucking tantrum because people didn't give her props. I actually found Deja kind of grating on this. Okay. Which is her whole, like, cause she was kind of like, whenever Deja gets a little, she's like crying cause she hasn't won. And then she's that girl that once she wins one thing, she's like, hey.
There's a lip sync assassin in the house. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, she is the pastel queen, Joe. Remember, everybody at home calls her the pastel queen.
Oh yeah, she's the pastel queen. She's like, keep talking your shit. What's the name of that? I always ask for the name of that. Let me see here. I'm gonna go to let me see, library. YouTube makes it so hard to find things sometimes.
I'm over here very booked and busy while you bitches over here are still looking raggedy and not doing shit. Wow. But anyway, I just want to let y'all know I'm not going anywhere. So talk your shit, you shitholes. You can't defeat a bad bitch. You just cannot do that. I rise above that. Ew. So I just want to say, hey, and that I'm here to stay, and you're going to be mad every day. Success.
That's Deja after she wins one challenge.
But she has been waiting. As a contestant, you're waiting for this moment to be named, and Snatch Game is the win that you want to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm on her side. I just enjoyed it, but I could see it being a little grating on people to just have the constant like, who are you talking about? Everybody's scared, and she, like she's kind of
okay.
Don't laugh at me. Don't joke about that.
Yeah, I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed her this episode, but I could see the other perspective on it.
Yeah, it just seemed like she's just very like, like when I was a little kid, and let's say one of us got to stay home from school for whatever reason, and the other one had to go to school, and I was just like, to make my brother mad, I'd be like, well, I guess I'll just watch, 3 reruns of I Love Lucy today.
Success.
Success. She was kind of bugging. I actually don't. Maybe you can explain it to me. Maybe I wasn't totally paying attention. What was Diabetti's fucking point?
What did she say exactly? Like, what's the? Oh, about Georges and Jasmine Kennedy.
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of saying what I think the audience is feeling. Like, not that we're done with Georges at this point, but we know that Georges has secured a spot in Work the World or in the Vegas show. Like, that is a lock probably for Georges.
Okay.
But I think as far as the show is concerned, I don't know if we're going to get much more out of Georges besides like another great lip sync, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And the same for Jasmine Kennedy. I mean, these queens have been in the bottom for a couple challenges now. And I think that what Diabetti is saying, granted, she was the first one sent home.
That's what I was going to say. She was the first one to go home.
Yeah, so I think she's kind of holding her head a little higher than she should. But I think she's saying kind of what the rest of the cast is thinking, like, man, I really just want to get some bitches out of this room.
Yes, and I think that you're right. The audiences agree, and if this would have been a bloodbath, that would have been a great thing, but as we saw, it was not.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but let's go over to the next day. Deja gloats while Lady Camden wonders if they are all being punished for not taking risks. Willow hopes she gets a song, that's her style, and Angeria crosses her fingers for a park and bark. Daya calls out the girls for not being truthful. The queens speculate on the format of the Lollapalooza, while Jasmine confronts Daya, on her use of the term no offense. Let's talk about this, I guess, in a little bit of detail. Did you have any thoughts on what happened the next day before they get to the main stage?
I appreciated that they didn't know that they were going to be lip syncing against each other, because we have seen in other seasons that old contestants have come back for a chance to win. Mm-hmm. Like we saw that in All Stars, where Latrice came back. And we've also seen, this is, I think, our first time with like a bracket system where the loser gets sent to the back and then watches and then, goes against the winner. I think so. To have that format was a little bit of a breath of fresh for me, but it still seemed kind of stale to have like a lip sync showdown, smackdown, whatever. Mm-hmm. So them hypothesizing what they thought could happen was kind of fun to see, because I think Deja's the one who brought it up, saying, do you think that it's going to be other contestants, or do you guys think it's going to be all at once? Because again, we've seen it on the stage before where season 11, we had 6 queens, I think, lip sync at the same time. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Scarlett?
Yes.
Yeah. So they don't know really what's coming. So I kind of thought like them kind of being like, well, I don't know, how are we going to do this? Because these queens all have different styles of lip syncing, and I don't know what kind of queen you think you'd be as a lip syncer, but I mean, Georges isn't going to give the same performance as an Angeria. So I liked hearing what their strengths were.
You're right. And Deja, coming from a place of safety, was free to sort of like think outside the box and be like, yeah, what is it going to be? Are they going to get rid of all? Well, she makes that joke. I don't know if it's the previous day or today, where she's like, maybe all 7 of you go home. And all the bitches are like super quiet and like really
success.
Yeah, and she's like, success.
Yeah.
Because they're all really, really nervous and really, really upset, because especially not knowing what's going to happen. But most of it is just them. A lot of this is not wasted time, but they're killing time because they're just trying to figure out what it's going to be like. But let's talk about Jasmine confronting Daya on the use of the term no offense. What were your thoughts there, Jay?
I mean, this is something that I think we've all encountered with somebody in our life where they say no offense and then proceed to say something offensive.
Yeah.
And they're using that as a buffer to be like, well, don't fault me for saying it. It's, it's just a tough conversation to have, because instead of Daya just saying, my opinion is I think you guys should go home, or I feel like you guys should go home, the no offense is kind of acting as a buffer to say, look, it's almost like unwritten or unspoken. I think you guys are great at this show and blah, 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 but I think you should have gone home. You're past your prime.
Well, don't you think all tea, no shade is the sort of drag queen version of no offense? Like, I'm just giving you the truth, bitch. I'm not trying to be shady.
Yeah.
And I guess my thing is like, I'm going to strangely, because Diabetes really grates on my nerves. And I will admit, full disclosure, there's something about the way she looks and talks that reminds me of somebody that I truly do not like very much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I might be projecting onto her my hatred for that person onto her. So I may not be seen clearly with Diabetes. But what I'll say, though, is I'm going to defend her here, because maybe she's just not being very elegant about it, but trying to say, like, I'm not trying to stir shit up. I'm just making this point, right? Don't take it the wrong way. I know this might hurt you, but I'm just trying to bring up a legitimate point about the competition. I don't know. I thought Jasmine was like, it's weird because you have to think about it in terms of like a person and then like a TV producer. So in terms of a person, Diabetes right. Like, why are you bringing this? We're super stressed right now. I'm very stressed. Why are you deciding to add to my stress right here in the workroom as we're about to go lip sync for our motherfucking lives? Right?
Yeah.
But as a TV producer, you're like, yeah, they're just all going to put on makeup, Jasmine, and bring up this whole no offense thing. Because it's like, and also, why is it that big of a fucking deal? Like, okay, she says no offense.
But it's, I kind of agree with Jasmine. It's just like, just say what you want to say. Don't try to buffer it with the.
She did say what she wanted to say.
True, and I think that we saw this conversation with the Reeds where Jasmine said that Daya was two-faced, and then they had to have that conversation too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There's something about them that their words do not enter each other's ears in the right way. Like they're not able to interpret what the other one's saying.
Who is having that conversation?
What?
I already left the soundboard. So.
Yeah, but they are having that conversation, and I think that they've described it the best I think that anybody can. Is they seem like siblings. Daya was giving her praise during her lip syncs, but then to her face being like, "Well, you're a bitch." Tyra Sanchez.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a dumb fight to have, and I do agree that it probably wasn't the time or place. But Jasmine's probably thinking, "Oh, my time is limited. Like maybe I just need to get this out."
Well, I don't think it was very producer driven.
Probably.
What a weird thing, because just as Daya's point is, why are you bringing this up now? I'm sure Jasmine put on her makeup. I'm sure she's worried. Why is she all of a sudden, she's focused on this thing. All of a sudden she's bringing up the no offense thing, which we've heard from, is it Raven or Raja or somebody who said that the producers are literally under the makeup table going like, bring up the no offense.
Well, Ben de la Creme also said that you're throwing on a face of makeup, putting on a wig, and then talking about your dead parent, and the producers are telling you to do it. It's just like, I know that they're trying to juggle a lot, and they're making a show. Ultimately, do we want to watch a room full of quiet queens putting on a face of paint?
Well, especially with this cast who they all get along. So I think the producers are very much like, we need to make something happen. And that's one of the things we can talk about this later, is as much as Jasmine Kennedy got on my motherfucking nerves, what are they going to be now that she's gone?
That's why I'm kind of not shocked to hear, but I feel like Daya Betty could have been placed into season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and been like in with those girls that kind of where it got a little bit messy, or it got they were able to kind of have that untucked messiness. And I'm appreciating that old kind of return to the show, because with one queen it's hard, but I think I don't know, I appreciate her kind of just laying it out there.
But the problem is, you're right. When there's only one person doing it in a cast that they all get along, it just sort of just falls flat.
Yeah. Act a fool, girl.
Yeah. Exactly. Act a fool. All right, Jay, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, we're going to get into the lip syncs. We'll be right back after this.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
Yeah! Wow, what a fantastic break, Jay. Oh, my God.
Refreshing.
Oh, we did so much. I went over to your house and I played some video game with your boyfriend. And then I
Elden
ran
Ring
back over
was
here.
on, and we said, God, we got to get this show back on.
Oh, my God, Jay, I got to get back home. I got to do the show. You would think I would just continue the show sitting right next to you.
You think?
Yeah. We should have done the show in person.
Really, we could. I don't know why we
totally
don't.
Could. Yeah, I don't know why we don't or didn't. All right. Well, Jay, let's get into, let me see. The main stage. RuPaul announces there'll be a series of 6 lip syncs. Maybe lip syncs.
Some were lip syncs.
Some were. The winner will be safe from elimination, while the losing queens will continue to face off until there are 2 remaining, one of which I cannot read today. One of which will sashay away forever. In a bingo cage, there are 7 balls. Ow! 1 for each queen. Jasmine Kennedy's ball is pulled first. She gets to choose her opponent, and she chooses, the script doesn't have who she chooses. Oh, Daya Betty.
This was our first one? Yeah.
She
it was
chooses
Jasmine
Daya
Kennedy versus Daya
Meanwhile, as the chosen queen, Daya Betty gets to choose the song. Before we get into it's Jasmine versus Daya, before we get into this, let's just talk about this right now. Do you agree with me? And I don't think the show tried to hide this. That they had this bingo cage and they'd spin it, and then Calix would openly look inside the cage, look at the balls, put his hand, and then pick one ball in particular. There was no like, I'm just going to look away and reach my hand.
You would hear ceramic things as he's trying to pick the right one.
Yeah. Like, it was not like, okay, I'm have my hands over my eyes with one hand, and I'm mimicking this, I'm miming this. No. He was literally like he was a kid in a candy store trying to pick the right candy, and I mean, they weren't even like trying to hide that. Am I wrong?
I'm surprised that there weren't 6 balls that just had JK, like for Jasmine Kennedy on it, and then they like spin it. I mean, they really could have done it that way if they knew who they wanted to be the one who picks.
He literally.
Yeah, he was dipping his eyes were following his hand.
Now, let me ask you this question. Calix, your type? No? Yes?
Oh, I can't even remember what he really looked like, but I remember he was cute. Yeah.
He was like that vanilla sort of like... He looked like he'd be boring in bed, if I'm being honest with you.
Why are we having such a shakeup with the pit crew? Like we're not getting introduced to them anymore, and I don't know. It just seems weird.
Calix.
Huh?
She said his name was Calix.
I guess I wanted to know like when his birthday was, his favorite food, his favorite place to vacation.
Didn't they used to have like a pit crew untucked kind of thing?
Oh, maybe they did. But like, where's Bruno? Like, I feel like we're missing like our core, like Bryce and Bruno and Jason. Like, it's weird to, I'm happy to have diversity and different faces on the show, but they're coming out of nowhere now.
Yeah. All right. Lip sync number 1, Jasmine versus Daya. The song is Respect by Aretha Franklin. Now we know Daya wins the lip sync, ensuring her safety, leaving Jasmine up for elimination. Your thoughts on this lip sync right off the bat, Jay?
Love the song. Great song.
Classic.
Yeah. I agree that I think that Daya won the lip sync with just no stunts and just kind of owning the stage. My big issue with Daya's lip sync is that she was purposefully covering Jasmine Kennedy, and I think that that's poor sportsmanship. It's Mimi lifting India. And my favorite thing about the India and Mimi moment is they add the like, and then there's like a dolphin noise in the background that goes, when India's being carried. And I don't understand the choices, but I think that her moving across the stage, and you can see her kind of catching glances from the side of her eyes. She's trying to cover Jasmine Kennedy. Mm-hmm.
But you said this just right before the break. Daya is that old school drag race villain. And I would say seasons 1 and 2 for sure. I'm not sure about 3 so much. Maybe the early outs in season 3. They were doing that shit. I mean, that would be them be nice. They were doing that shit. Sometimes they were like pulling the clothes off the other person and, doing all kinds of crazy shit, know? And, so that is very old school drag race to do that kind of stunt. The other thing I'll say, this lip sync made me realize something about the lip syncs, all lip syncs in general on this show. And I never thought this before, but there is an element for a successful lip sync that you are, to some degree, even though you are your own person, you are your own drag queen, you are your own persona, the most successful ones are a hybrid of your persona, your drag queen, and your interpretation of that persona of the person singing the song. And it becomes more important the more famous that person is. And the reason I bring that, so in other words, well, let's take, Georges, with her song choice, everyone thought she would choose Jennifer Lopez because she's going to give a really good Jennifer Lopez. But even with Beyonce, Georges was giving you Beyonce, right? With Aretha Franklin, because we saw this before, you brought up Kenya Michaels earlier. One of my favorite lip syncs of all time, because the train wreck it is season 4, Latrice Royale versus Kenya Michaels, Natural Woman, right? And Latrice does a park and bark and very emotionally takes on that song, while Kenya Michaels is doing flips and pirouettes and ballet moves, in the background. And it's literally unhinged.
Pregnant.
Yeah, pregnant and unhinged, right? It's an unhinged lip sync. And it's the same thing here, too, where these girls don't look like Aretha Franklin. Their persona isn't like Aretha Franklin. But there is something ridiculous about doing death drops and all kinds of floor work and moves to an Aretha Franklin song. Because Aretha Franklin clearly would not be doing a death drop.
Right.
And I don't know why that is, but that's sort of the thing here. She looked ridiculous.
Yes, it's when you have a song like this, you don't need to pull out the stunts. It's about the soul, the vibe, the embodying that song. And I think that's ultimately Jasmine Kennedy's downfall in her lip syncs, is that she starts at a 10, and it's kind of Alyssa Edwards energy where it's like frenetic and chaotic, and it just kind of goes, and there's no levels to play with. And I think that was kind of her downfall, specifically on this one.
Well, I will say, and this, I don't remember the second one, but the third one for sure, it does go with what I'm saying here, is it reminds me of a child when a song comes on and they're like, mom, look, at this, mom. And then they do like a shitty cartwheel. Earlier this week, Afterthought media personality Lori Roggenkamp sent a video to a group of us, myself, Jay, Adam Salandra, of a video of herself at like, what is she, like 12 or 13, 11? I don't know how old she is. It's hard to tell with Lori because she's like 8 feet tall and the other kids are like 3 feet tall. But she's very young, and it's some sort of like birthday party or something, and they're playing a song and all the kids are dancing, right? Yeah. But they're dancing like Jasmine Kennedy in this song. They're just like running and jumping, and there's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. One girl does the splits for no reason. You know,
Ganja was there.
Yeah, Laganja was there. Lori's just running back and forth like Shrek looking for firewood, but that's what it seemed like. That's what the Jasmine Kennedy's performance, like a kid going like, look at me, look, mom, look, and the mom's trying to have a conversation over, there with Kathy. And she's like, anyway, Kathy, when I make rice, mom, look, and then they just jump in the pool. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I agree. I there was a frenetic energy to it. My overall note for Jasmine Kennedy is she had the best wig for this fight, like for these SmackDowns. Did you see the choreography going on with her?
With which one?
All of them. Jasmine Kennedy had such a good unit on her head. It was flowing and everything. That was captivating. But overall, I don't know. This first one, it was a strong start to the night, but I agree with the judges on this one that I think Daya took it.
That was my question. The right person win? You're saying yes. We both agree. Daya won that one. All right, lip sync number 2. The next ball drawn belongs to Willow Pill, who challenges Bosco, who chooses the song Never Too Much by Luther Vandross. Someone said Luther Vandross.
I think that's a New York-ism, because on I Love, or Flavor Flav, I Love, what is it? Flavor of Love. There's a girl who says, you're just jealous because I look like Beyonce, and New York goes, Beyonce, bitch, you up here looking like Luther Vandross. So I think that the younger generation thinks it's Luther Vandross.
Maybe. Anyway, Willow Pills told Shantae you stay while Bosco remains up for elimination. Let's talk about this one right here. Your thoughts here, Jay.
This gave me the vibes of Shangela when she's like, oh, I really love reggae. I love reggae. Making Carmen Carrera pick reggae.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
Willow has been really smart this competition to not lay all of her cards out on the table and say, this is what I do. This is the kite. Although I do remember somebody, I think it was Bosco, saying, I don't want to go against Willow if it's a camp song.
Yeah, she did.
So their producers are writing, who they should pair up with. But it's an interesting song. I've never would have thought this would have appeared on Drag Race, but it was a pairing up that I was excited to see. I liked Willow's look, and I've talked about Bosco's look, but I think that they both looked prepared for this lip sync.
Yeah.
I could have seen this one going either way.
Yes, it was a very close call for me. I think the edit was trying to really, put it over for Willow as to why it's obvious. Willow did give, I think, I'll say this, there was an energy, and I think this might have been sort of like, if we're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the judges, there was an energy from Willow there was an air of confidence with Willow, where Bosco did come up more desperate.
Yes.
Where Willow was just like, yeah, bitch, whatever, I got this, and maybe that gave her the edge. But you're right, it was much closer than Daya and Jasmine Kennedy, and I could have seen it going either way, but I really don't have too much to say other than that.
I think if we saw this on a normal episode, this lip sync, I would have been like, that's a very passable lip sync. There was no, like, when I think of a great lip sync, I think of like Manila doing How Will I Know, where she's against the wall and like giving it a character. And I just like, there's moments that were created. And I think that this one, there was a lack of moments. And I think I'm in the minority here in saying that I think it was a close one, because I think the internet feels that Willow flat out won this one, like by a lot. Mm-hmm. But I am excited to see another lip sync from Willow if we're going to get that this season, or see what else she does. I've never looked up her mixes that she makes. So I'm excited to see more from Willow, but this wouldn't be the number that would get me excited for a Willow production, I guess, like if I saw it on a normal episode. But I am excited to see more.
Well, I'm actually watching Willow and Bosco right now. Yeah, and it's kind of confirming what I'm talking about, where like Willow, like look at Willow's being very, very sultry, and Bosco's, again, it's very, very subtle, right? It's very subtle. Bosco's not doing what Jasmine was doing, but there's a lot more. I just don't know that Bosco's getting the vibe of the song, which is a much more, I mean, if you're doing Luther Vandross, you're going to be doing almost like a sexy, sultry, like slow thing where I feel like Bosco's moving too much. Not that it's bad, but like if you're giving the edge, if you're like really, really looking at the finer details, Willow's performance is much more refined.
Agreed.
Much more controlled.
Yeah.
And so, again, now it was really embarrassing because we just saw Ross and Carson trying to get in with Luther Vandross. And that was really embarrassing.
I do agree, though, there is an energy that just watching it on silent, we are seeing Bosco kind of more making it like a dance number instead of vibing with whatever is happening on there, which is what we're seeing Willow do.
What I will say about Willow, I'll say this because this is the only time we're going to get to see her lip sync, is when I've seen her lip sync, she's, what's funny, and we see this with Jasmine later, is Jasmine goes, oh, I'm going different this time. I'm going to go campy, right? And then she just goes full on crazy person. Whereas Willow's really good, especially with this guitar thing she's doing right there, where she's really good at giving you the serious, but then throwing in little morsels of camp that give you exactly what you want and make the camp more highlighted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes it when you're doing a more serious performance and you throw in those little moments, it emphasizes really that moment, to be honest with you. Whereas Bosco's just giving a pretty straight-laced one-note performance, which isn't bad. Again, if I was seeing this at the club, I'd be into it. But Willow, I think, has the edge there. All right. Jay, you have any more thoughts to say on this particular lip sync?
No, I think overall it was a strong second lip sync choice.
All right, very good. Let's move on now to the next one. Lip sync number 3. RuPaul reveals Georges and Jerry and Lady Camden will have a 3-way lip sync. Georges and Paul. Yeah, go ahead.
Before we get into this lip sync, the aftermath of Ru reading Michelle was a jaw drop. I laughed so hard. I'm all, whoa, we don't get to see that very much.
Well, that was kind of ballsy for Michelle to be like, because RuPaul said that was like a really, and she's not wrong, that was like a really sexy girl group performance.
It was.
And she, and Michelle says in one line, like, yeah, it reminds me of,
it was like watching Seduction up there or something. Ru goes, oh, you wish that Seduction could do that?
It is true. I mean, it is true.
I haven't, to be fair, I'm not Taylor, so I have not seen Seduction
Taylor would be able to go like, well, actually, in 1991, Seduction did a performance at the American Music Awards that aired on Fox. And you're like, how do you remember this? Right?
Yeah.
And anyway, she gets the power to choose. Georges randomly has her ball chosen by Calix and giving her the power to choose, and she chooses the song Radio by Beyonce. Georges chantes the safety while leaving Lady Camden and Jerry in the Lollapalooza. Now, Jay and I are watching this. I will say this was a tougher one to call. Jay, what were your thoughts?
This one was almost chaotic. I loved the colors that were on the stage because so we had Camden in pink, we had Georges in yellow, and Angeria in like a metallic gray black. Yes. So it really was able to help like distinguish who's doing what, and it was so vibrant and fun to watch. But this one was like being at a concert. You don't know where your eyes should go because everybody's doing something different at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this one was going to be a lock for Georges. They built it up this whole season, this whole episode. Nobody wants to go against Georges.
Yeah.
And I think that no matter what the song was that she chose, because she was her ball was picked at random.
Yeah.
That it was going to be her song to her lip sync to lose, basically.
Well, again, talking about energy and whatnot, when Georges is on the stage and you're seeing it right there, she has a command of the stage, which is so funny and so interesting to see that, because I feel in other challenges and even in the work, I was actually noticing in the workroom, Georges is just not a presence in the workroom whatsoever. She doesn't bring attention to herself. She's just doing her thing. She's very quiet. I can't even think of any Georges workroom moments, if I'm being honest. But when
I
she
remember her saying cutesier and ditzier. That's really, I'm going to be a little more cutesier, ditzier.
Yeah. And then also she really, really suffers in acting challenges, but you get her on the stage where she has to lip sync and she comes to life and she has a command and charisma that is hard to top. And whereas, look, don't get me wrong, any other lip sync, Camden and Nigeria are probably winning if it's 1-to-1, one-on-one, but just it's a subtle thing where Georges just has a command and you can't take your eyes off of her.
Yes. This is where Georges shines. And I think that if the show were America's best lip syncer, Georges would take the title, no problem. I think I said it earlier. I'm not done with Georges on the show, but I've seen her perform now. I would absolutely go see her at a bar. I think she would put on a fantastic show. And I think the audience she's going to get from being on RuPaul's Drag Race.
So here's my question. Did the right person win this lip sync, Jay?
I think it had to be Georges. I don't think that Angeria or Lady Camden outdid Georges. And I really, it's my own personal thing. I really wish that we got 3 shablams when Georges and Angeria both went down. I really wish that we had Camden do it. But I think that Georges just had the energy and filled the song. What about you? Do you think the same?
Well, I agree with what you're saying. That would have been amazing. Almost like during the Tatiana and Alyssa lip sync when they both shablamed at the same time. But I feel like if Lady Camden did a shablam, she would break her bones.
She's a dancer.
I know, but she looks really fragile. I don't know what it is.
She does. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go to lip sync number 4, which is Lady. Oh no. Let me see here. Lady Camden and Gia. Okay, let me read it. Lady Camden and Gia Pearson Michaels, Jasmine Kennedy, and Bosco are in the final 4. Lady Camden's ball is snatched from the bingo cage at random by Calix, and she chooses to battle Bosco, who chooses Don't Let Go by In Vogue. Okay.
Were you familiar with this song before it was played?
No, which is funny. I've heard a lot of, but I have a really kind of like a lost era there in the 90s. And this fell in there. Lady Camden comes out on top and is safe for another week, putting Bosco in the final 2. Again, very good point with the contrast in colors there, Taylor, because when it was Willow versus
Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor. Aren't you Taylor the Latte Boy? There's that shot you were talking about.
Yeah,
Jay.
So good.
Yeah. Anyway, so go ahead, give us your thoughts on this lip sync, Jay.
Besides Swept Away, which we're going to come up to, I think this was my favorite lip sync of the night. I think that solely because, again, I'm saying this as like a Bosco fan. I love Bosco. I think Lady Camden embodied this song and did the job. I think that it was a really great song. I think that her look matched the In Vogue like vibe. I don't know, like she had the mohawk pink and everything. I think that it just felt kind of grunge, or I know they're not grunge, but it just felt like the song's kind of like it's I don't know what I'm saying. It's a put together song, but it's like it shreds you apart. And I think that Lady Camden was embodying that in her look also. So I think everything just like was working for Lady Camden. I think she won.
What grade would you give Bosco?
But to be honest, as much as I like Bosco, I think she's not doing anything that's making her stand out. So if I had to give her a grade, maybe like a 1 out of 10, I would say maybe like a 6 or a 7. I was never not entertained by these lip syncs. I think they all did a great job, but I think that this one was a clear winner in Lady Camden's favor.
I almost wonder if, yeah, you're right. And Lady Camden did win this lip sync. I didn't think differently. Bosco is definitely making it work, and she's doing what she can. Doesn't really capture it as much as Camden does. But what I'll say though is I'm wondering how much, because we know that Bosco is going to beat Jasmine. Before Bosco was going against Willow, a person she loves. Bosco's going against Camden, a person she loves. I'm not saying she doesn't love Jasmine, right? But I wonder how much of there is a sort of like annoyance with Jasmine. You can draw on that energy to pull what you need to give the performance you need to bring her down. If that makes sense. Where it's a little harder with people that you generally also root for. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Are you saying, no, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but tell me if this is right, that Bosco was holding back on the first two?
I wouldn't say holding back, but not consciously.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
I think Bosco was stressed out, and I think she was giving it her all.
No, I think she's giving it her all, but I think maybe I'm wrong because she does seem to pull it out in a way when Jasmine's there. But maybe when the stakes are that high, you just pull whatever reserve energy you have left. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, but clearly, but Bosco did deserve to lose there. Camden did bring it. So far, the judges are 100%. I'll be honest with you. I can't think of a time when I disagreed with the judges. I'll be honest with you. To tip my hand a little bit. I don't know if there was a time when you disagreed with the judges, but
I think we're coming up on an example.
Oh, really? Because next we have Angeria Patterson Michaels and Jasmine Kennedy face off in the second semifinal. The song "Love Don't Cost a Thing" by Jennifer Lopez. Now we learn, and we're going to be controversial, I guess. Angeria wins the lip sync and send Jasmine to the bottom two. We're actually watching it right now with the sound off, which I think makes it actually a little bit more interesting to watch when you don't have the music to sort of tell you how to think. It makes it a little bit different here, different experience. You get to watch it in a much more interesting way. Now, right now, so Jasmine's doing her best. There's a very Alyssa Edwards type moves. But yeah, so what we're seeing right now. Angeria is giving more face, fewer moves. Jasmine is more moves, less commitment. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think that Jasmine dropped the words a couple times. I noticed, and I think they were showing that to show the audience, look, we're going to give Angeria, but Angeria does this one squat move a couple times within this. So I don't think that pop dance is kind of her genre that she would, and she said it, she would rather park and bark and give a ballad. But if you look at the hair, the outfit, everything that Jasmine Kennedy's wearing, she has that long flowing hair. She has a bodysuit that has cool hip embellishment. I think it really fits this vibe of song, and she's got the energy for it. Angeria has kind of pageant hair on for this lip sync smackdown, and I kind of miss the movement of the stage. They both did great. This was a very close one for me, but I do think that Jasmine Kennedy inched her out just a tiny bit. But I want Angeria to be in the top 4, top 3, top 2. I like her so much. I think she did a very serviceable job. I just think that Jasmine inched her out by just a tiny bit.
I could see what you're saying. Now looking at this without the music and talking about it in an analytical kind of way, I can see what you're saying. It is, I would highly recommend people watch it without the music. It is very, 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 very close. It's very close. When you're watching it without the music. If I were watching this without music the first time, I wouldn't be able to tell you who won. Because I think where Angeria has the edge is her interpretation of the song. So when you take that away, the edge is gone. But that's why I'll still agree with the judges, is that Angeria just had a better interpretation of the song in terms of face, what she was bringing to it in terms of energy with her face. Yeah. But yeah.
I want to give Jasmine her flowers on this too, is I think that she played with levels, which for pop divas like Britney, Jennifer, whoever you're going to see doing dance numbers in their sets, there's a lot of floor work. There's a lot of moving up and down stage hairography. So I think she just looked like a pop star, and it fit Love Don't Cost a Thing. But again, I'm happy Angeria won, because I do think that Jasmine's time on the show has come, but I do think that in that lip sync, I was happy to watch Jasmine excel and use that energy towards something good.
Now, I don't really know Jennifer Lopez, but does she do a lot of she's humping the floor, which I think Jasmine does a lot of?
Does who do that?
Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, Jasmine? Brittany? Jennifer Lopez?
Jennifer Lopez herself.
I don't know. I'd have to go and watch her dance sets, but I think that it's a very common thing for maybe not Jennifer Lopez, but her dancers for sure are, because when choreographers are setting up dances, they're trying to set up levels and make it so that your eye kind of dances around the stage with the dancers too.
All right. Very good. All right. For the final lip sync, Jasmine and Bosco must battle one last time to avoid elimination. The song "Swept Away" by Diana Ross. In the end, Bosco wins the lip sync. Jasmine Kennedy reveals her bar is made of chocolate and sachets away, leaving 7 queens in the competition. Let's talk about this lip sync here, Jay. Now, were you familiar with this song? I had never heard it before.
I had never heard, I mean, obviously I know Diana Ross, but I did not know this specific song.
Yeah. But this seems like a very, like, a RuPaul favorite kind of, because RuPaul, as we know, loves herself some Diana Ross.
Mm-hmm.
So now maybe this is one of the things where Larry Flick's going to call me and be like, bitch, how do you not know this song? This song was the number 4 song, blah, blah, blah. You're like, okay.
If Larry Flick and Christian talk to each other on the phone, would they just say bitch to each other the whole time?
I actually think Larry Flick would live with Christian. I know, just be bitch the whole time.
Bosco found her groove on this song. I thought she did so good.
Mm-hmm. But why do you think she found her groove?
Where do I think she found it?
No, why do you think she found it? Like, why now did she find her groove? Was it the song in particular?
There's a few things. I think the pressure's on.
Mm-hmm.
This is a song that she can do sultry sexy, which I think, as Courtney X says, Bosco knows sexy.
Mm-hmm.
I think she said she was busting out her stripper moves, which I think if she knew she was getting to this point, it's hard because you don't want to show all your tricks on this stage because, as we've seen with other contestants, you may have to lip sync again and then you're like, well, where do I go from here? And I think Bosco doing her floor work, which we're going to see in a little bit, I think she was saving maybe some moves that she's like, okay, I got to go into the reserve. I'm going to give everything I can on this lip sync because it's do or die right now.
Jasmine said that this is the song where she decided, because she'd already done all her tricks, she was going to go campy. And I was like,
I want to talk about that.
What was the campiness? Yeah, what were you going to say?
She says that she's going to go camp, but really her only camp move is she pretends to sweep across the stage. And then other than that, it's the same.
Oh, no, she's reeling in Bosco. Yeah.
Oh, it looked like a sword was stabbing her. I didn't get camp from them. I mean, I feel like camp is like Gigi Good doing little steps on super, or what was that one called? Not Super Bass. What did they do for Nicki Minaj? Anyway, her and Widow Von Du. But I mean, I think that there's like way to do camp, and I didn't see camp from Jasmine Kennedy.
I think Jasmine Kennedy thinks she's doing camp. I think when a pretty person makes an ugly face and thinks that's them being funny. But
again,
go ahead.
What did you think? I feel like I've given my thoughts. What do you think?
No. I mean, I don't have much to say. I mean, I think Bosco clearly wins it. Again, I'm more about, because I'm not a dancer. I don't know if you know that. I'm not a trained dancer and whatnot. So, like, I feel Bosco, maybe it's the way it's edited or whatnot. I'm all about capturing the spirit of the song. And I feel like Bosco really captured the spirit of the song more than Jasmine. I'm not sure this, even if we give Jasmine Kennedy the benefit of the doubt and that she was bringing camp to this, I'm not sure that was the right thing to do here. I feel it required a sort of sultriness, sexiness, kind of like maybe something that what Willow Pill brought to it as well when she did her song. I think it required that. So in other words, you can throw in a little bit of camp here and there, maybe that guitar move she did, but for the most part, it required a sultriness. So did the right person go home, Jay?
I think the writing was on the wall before the episode even started, and we were going to lose Jasmine Kennedy, even though she's lip sync a couple times. I think that the right person went home. I think she's served us well, and I do believe that we'll see her again.
Well, look, here's the thing: is they telegraphed it in the cold open when Jasmine says like, "Oh, well, you know, if they have to go against me in a lip sync, they're going to be going home and stuff like that in the confessional." And then she's laughing it up, yucking it up with Lady Camden about Dia seems angry. And like, if Dia has to go up against me, she's going to lose. They set it all up and they laid the groundwork where you're like, either Jasmine's going to win the whole thing, which she didn't, or she's going to go home. And she did. And Jasmine gave them she was hoisted by her own petard, so to speak, Jay. And now we're left with 7 girls still going into episode 12. We still have 7 girls.
It's a long season.
Yeah, it really, really is. Someone told me, they're like, look, Joe, they're going to have the finale in Las Vegas. Are you going to go? And I was like, no, I've been in finales.
Are they doing it in Vegas?
That's what someone said. Yeah, it's going to be in Vegas. That would make sense because they have to book that stuff way in advance. And LA just yesterday lifted their mandate on theaters and stuff like that. So
yeah, I guess Nevada's they haven't really been complying with COVID stuff. So they're like, yeah, you could have this 10,000 seat theater.
Yeah.
Also, they might be able to work in their Vegas shows somehow.
100% it's going to happen. 100% it's going to happen. All right. Well, do you have any final thoughts on the episode, Jay?
Overall, there was no lip sync that I think everybody did a great job. I don't know if there's one that I am going to have to go back and rewatch, but I think I said it earlier. I really like this cast and what they're doing. And can I give my top 4?
Yeah.
I just want it on record.
Sure.
I like Bosco. I like Angeria.
Yeah.
I like Lady Camden. And then I think I like Willow Pill.
So we say that again. Bosco, Angeria, Camden, and Willow Pill.
Yeah.
I could see them being the top 4.
I do. Our diversity went right out in the first half of this season. We have so many white queens. Did you notice that?
Let me see. We have... Let's see.
I think Deja, Sky, and Angeria... actually, Georges, Deja, Sky... I guess we have an Angeria. We have a couple people of
color.
color.
And then we have Daya. We have Willow. And what else?
Bosco. Jasmine Kennedy.
Well, she's gone.
Yeah.
Who are we missing?
I guess it's pretty even then, if we have 7.
I only have 6 here. Daya, Willow, Bosco, Deja, Georges, Angeria.
No, it's not good when we can't remember Queen. Camden. one of my top 4s.
One of your top 4s up there. Well, you know,
I love her so much. I just forgot.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think in top 4, I think Angeria 100% will be there. I think Willow Pill 100% will be there. Those 3rd and 4th spots, man, they get tricky. I'm actually going to go with Camden and, believe it or not, Georges. Oh, no. Maybe not Georges.
Deja? Daya?
I guess. No, I'll go with Bosco. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm going to agree with you.
I think Angeria just has something that really shines through the TV. Just charming and effortless.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my thoughts. I'm excited for the rest of the season, whenever it ends in 2023.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny, for someone who does these podcasts, I love the long season. I'm like, all right, less content. Like, it's set up for me every single time. Now I know what I'm doing every single week, but I know I can see it being exhausting for the fandom. But what I would say to the fandom is be like me and just disconnect. That's the thing that people don't understand, is I think the hardcore fans, and this is probably something VH1 realizes, the hardcore fans find it exhausting, but I think, again, 99% of the audience are just casual fans, and what the fuck do they care? You know? I actually think it's strangely, believe it or not, kind of brilliant. It's not good. What's really stupid is they're really pissing off the hardcore fans, but for the casual fan, which is probably the bulk of the audience, because you have to understand something, all these other international shows, they're on Wild Presents Plus. You don't want to watch them? Don't don't go to Wild Presents Plus. And All Stars is on Paramount Plus. You don't want to watch it? Don't watch Paramount Plus. So for the majority of people, it's once a week for 4 months. The end. You know?
I also think that not that they don't care about their audience, but that advertiser money speaks, and they're getting weeks and weeks of advertisements on one of VH1's high rated shows. Yeah.
Very good point. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14. So, for Jay Ellis and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. You can also leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Taylor has another podcast. It's called Pod is My Co-Pilot, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Taylor the Latte Boy on Instagram and Twitter at PIMC Taylor. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram and Twitter at Joe Betance. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen and Zach Birch. Very special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters: Agnesia Shopinska, April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Coco San Pedro, Declan Prosser, Drew Brooks, E. Smith, Emma, Humble Pie, J. Thomas Plank, Jesse Harris, Lauren Eckert, Lionel Campbell, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Nicholas Springham, Poppy Woods, Ricardo Herrera, Sarah Yu, Tom Bombs, Travis Newland, Troy Anderson, Zach Nelson, Corinna Williamson, Elizabeth Timmer, Nikki Baker, Robert NYC, David Olson, and Alexandra Sixt. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.